Well, it's a little after 4 o'clock, so on the East Coast here, and wanted to welcome you to a very special presentation this afternoon. We are lucky, and my name, let me introduce myself, is Jody Scholes, and I'm a board member with the Alliance for Massage Therapy Education. And it's our pleasure to welcome Lexington Maximus to our forum this afternoon. He has generously donated his time to bring his area of expertise to our membership and to those people who are maybe even future members, because this went out to all of the people who are considered our influencers. Let me tell you a little bit about Lexington. Lexington Maximus is the CEO and founder of the companies The Appointment Experts and The Art of Admissions. And he and his team are laser focused on improving every aspect of your admissions process. He knows that it's not just the process, but it's the people and how they use that process that makes the difference. So, and for over a decade, The Art of Admissions is the only company in the United States that's laser focused on massage schools in their admissions process. And because of that, the result that Lexington gets is a much higher enrollment percentages with students. So something I found interesting about Lex, because I like to humanize my introductions just a little bit. Lex is a classically trained professional pianist. And he's been classically trained since he was 8 years old. He's performed on the piano throughout the United States and in parts of Europe. He has won 5 Grammys, and not only as a pianist, but as a composer. So he brings excellence to his work, is the point. So he is now a Grammy award-winning artist who is bringing his music, the music of how to do virtual admissions, to the Alliance. So take it away, Lexington, and thank you so much for being here.
Oh, my pleasure. Thank you for that excellent introduction, Jody. And I feel more human now because of that. Thank you. And some may ask, like, what does a Grammy award-winning pianist, what is he doing in admissions? And the very short answer is this. I had a wonderful mother, father. My father wanted to be a pianist. He identified I had talent, and he just assumed that I would want to be a pianist as well, because I had this talent. I didn't. I was pushed hugely, lived an amazing life. Started performing professionally when I was 7 years old. However, I know intimately what it feels like to live someone else's dream. And so my life work is to support people to live their dreams, not their father's dreams, their mother's dreams, but their dreams. And that's where my inspiration comes for the Art of Admissions and for the support that I give and the training that I give to admissions reps, so they could be even more effective. Excuse me. I'm recovering from a cold of some type. But so that admissions representatives can become even more effective with inspiring more people to take action on that which they are passionate about and not just dream about or wish they could do it. So with that, let's hop right in. And today's focus, and I'm going to share my screen. Jody, let me know if you can see my screen.
There's a lot going on.
Can you see it?
Mm-hmm.
Yes?
Yes.
Good. All right. And today's focus is on how to effectively conduct virtual admissions. Now, as Jody said, that we have been working with massage schools for many, many years. We are the only admissions training company who has specialized in working with massage schools. So we understand you. We understand your unique challenges. We understand your unique opportunities. And we understand the demographics, the type of people you are looking to attract and inspire. And our entire philosophy is all from a basis of support, not pushing, not selling, but inspiring someone from the inside out to take action on their dreams. And with this, we have also been training schools in how to do virtual admissions for over 13 years. The moment this technology, this Zoom type technology came out, which is really around 15 years ago, that's when everything changed in admissions. But most admissions people did not know that because they didn't utilize the technology. And so we started training schools on how to use video. Instead of that first phone call, that you're still struggling to get people to show up for an appointment based on a phone call from an invisible voice. That should have stopped 13 years ago. However, a lot of people weren't aware of this technology and how to utilize it effectively. And so hardly anyone was using it until about 4 weeks ago. Now everyone wants it, or not everyone. Anyone who's wise needs to get this technology, number one, and then you need training on how to utilize it effectively, because virtual admissions is different. There's other skill sets that need to be developed that are different than just the brick and mortar in-person skill sets. So I'm going to give you some tangible takeaways today, and I'm going to go through this fairly quickly because we have a lot to cover in this less than an hour that we have. So number one, what are the benefits of virtual interviewing and tours? And by the way, if you have any questions, type them in the chat and Jody can moderate and let me know that we have some questions. So number one, what are the benefits of virtual interviewing and tours? Number one, unlike a phone interview, your body language is a profoundly large portion of this, because in communication, only 7% of communication are the words that we use. 38% is the tonality with which we say those words. 55% is body language. Those are your facial expressions, your eye contact, your gestures, your posture. These are all elements that come into play big time when you are giving virtual career planning sessions and virtual tours. So there's a lot more communication that goes on, a lot more powerful communication, because a person gets to experience the whole you and not just the voice of you. Now, also, it's easier to find a time for an appointment. You don't have to put off appointments for a week or 2 or 3 days, especially during the coronavirus. Right now, most people are at their houses, so your appointment can be right then and there. And even after you are back brick and mortar in your school, I highly recommend do not go backwards to the old way, because there will be a lot of schools that will be continuing to use video for that first phone contact and creating that first appointment and giving the initial part of the tour and the career planning session. That should all be done virtually at this point. After that, they can then come to see you in person. It doesn't mean they don't still go to see you and get a sense of what it would feel like to be a student at your school in person, and maybe meet with financial aid and so forth. Now, also, so many admissions representatives, they struggle to inspire buying committees, support committees to attend their career planning sessions and tours in person. This way, it makes it so much easier, because a mother, father, sister, brother, rabbi, extraterrestrial, whoever may be valued that needs to be part of this decision-making process can then simply attend their virtual sessions from the comfort of their home or office. And also, video, of course, is way more connecting and personal than a phone call. Because if I were to turn my video off, like right now, which I'm going to do actually, if I were to turn my video off, now, what a difference there is. You're missing a whole lot of me. And you didn't even realize what a difference visual communication makes, because now when you can see me, there's so much more expression and personality that I'm able to share with you. And so these are the elements that are super, super important, and that, here, let me share my screen again here. And now here's an interesting experience. With virtual, sometimes things go wrong. My PowerPoint disappeared. I had a contingency plan. Where did it go? I found it. And this is one of the things you have to keep in mind, that when you start doing virtual career planning sessions and tours, none of the technology is perfect yet. The Zoom is not perfect, or GoToMeetings, or whatever you may use. And computers, sometimes they some glitches happen. So you have to make sure you always have a contingency plan with your virtual tours. Now, also, not only can multiple parties participate in the sessions, which means that the decision-making process will be shortened when you have the buying committee that is part of their virtual session. They don't have to, the prospective student then doesn't have to talk to the mother, father, husband, wife, etc. They're part of that. They can ask questions. They'll receive and experience the full value of the education that you're going to be offering them. Now, also, as we were saying, it's way more connecting and personal than a phone. And it increases the status of the admissions representative. When a person is seen on video, whether it's on the big screen, shall we say, if it was a movie theater or television or a computer monitor or even a smartphone, when a stranger sees someone that don't know who they are on a video, on a screen of any size, there's something called the halo effect, that your status automatically goes up, the perceived status, that you're a higher status person, that you're kind of a movie star. And when people eventually see you, they're going to be like, oh my God, I saw you. And they're going to be even more impressed to meet you in person, as well as when you conduct virtual sessions, that you're going to basically have more credibility, even more than if you were in person, because of this halo effect, the movie star effect, as it's called as well. Now, right up front, I'll share with you, there are definitely potential issues with virtual interviewing. It doesn't mean you shouldn't do them. It doesn't mean you shouldn't do virtual admissions. It just means you have to make sure that you understand what these are and practice and role play every contingency, every challenge, just like an airline pilot. If this, then that. If your left engine goes, what does the pilot do? He doesn't say, well, we shouldn't fly planes, or she. Instead, he or she will be like, okay, this is what we do, because they've trained and practiced that so often. The same with virtual admissions. So a couple things, some potential challenges. Number one, both you and your explorer, I call the prospective student an explorer. It's a more intentional, conscious term, a person exploring their possibilities. You need to both have a good internet connection. For the admissions representative, as much as humanly possible, make sure that you have a direct Ethernet line connection to your router. There is a better quality of audio and a better quality of video when you have a direct connection. Even if your router is right next to you and sitting in your lap, there is more data that is processed and transferred through a direct connection. However, if you don't have the option of a direct Ethernet connection, then make sure the router is as close and unobstructed as possible. Now, of course, you need a quality webcam and microphone. If a person can't see you well, they're going to lose interest. And it takes a lot to keep someone engaged for 25 or 30 minutes, which, by the way, that is the sweet spot. People have asked me, Lexington, how long should these virtual career planning sessions and tours be? Between 25 and 30 minutes. And we have tested this with thousands and thousands and thousands of virtual interviews. And this is the sweet spot. Any more than that, up until the time you propose the application. That's the 30-minute mark. It should be that long. After that, people will stay another 5, 10, 15 minutes if you have virtual paperwork or whatever, if they have additional questions. But make sure you don't go over that. Now, also, another challenge is a lack of technological savvy or technology savvy and problems connecting. Sometimes your prospective students, your explorers, they may not know how to connect with Zoom. They may not know how to connect with their camera. They may have some computer or internet issues at their home. And if they do, it's important that you have practiced to become a tech troubleshooter so that you can keep things moving and as seamlessly and elegantly as possible. Now, here's a huge element. This next one, I've seen more mistakes with this than any mistake, is you have to make sure you have professional lighting. And I don't mean it's expensive lighting. It has to be effective, professional-looking lighting. Bad lighting is the worst thing because the eyes are the windows to the soul. And your prospective students, your explorers, need to see your face if you're the admissions representative and your eyes clearly. Otherwise, if you have bad lighting, and many people have a window behind them, and if they have a window behind them, now you will be in shadow, and you will look like you are in the witness protection program, that maybe you were involved in the mafia at some point, and that you've been relocated to an underground bunker in Omaha, Nebraska somewhere. So make sure if you have a window behind you, close the blinds. Some blinds aren't dark enough. Cover the window. Otherwise, people will not see your face. And now when I said professional lighting, it doesn't have to be expensive lighting. It could literally be 1 or 2 lights, maybe some lamps that you have if you're working from home at this point. And make sure your eyes are well lit and you get some feedback from some friends and family that you do a practice video conference with. Because if people can't see you, they will not trust you. You have to establish lots of trust and credibility. Otherwise, people will not move forward. And the eyes are the key to that. Now, also, of course, just giving an admissions representative a webcam and a Zoom room doesn't make them great virtual communicators or video communicators. Many times, poorly untrained reps, which is almost everyone initially, they can come across poorly and they can hurt your brand and they could burn leads for you. So one of the keys is you have to make sure that you have training, some type of training that your reps are receiving. And by the way, I have a number of offers I'm sharing today, and one is any attendee of this meeting today, if you would like a 30-minute one-on-one training session with your team, free, no obligation whatsoever, just email me, lex@theartofadmissions.com. We'll give that again. But if you like, specifics on how to set your team up or to how to get better with virtual admissions, if you already have that, let me know. Now, also, a lot of admissions representatives do not have a solid process or framework for sharing the school, for presenting the school. Some are even reading catalogs. Some are just asking, hey, what questions do you have? Some are just freewheeling it, and they end up being very long, very unfocused. So I highly recommend you get a structured process of how to do that. That you need a beginning, a middle, and a bridge, which is a proposal to apply. And there are many of our clients that are seeing even more applications now than they did before by utilizing all the elements I'm going over today. Now, lastly, admissions representatives may not be initially comfortable with doing video. Most people aren't unless they practice and role play a lot. Because the key, the key is not just practicing with your prospective students. The key is at least for 15 minutes a day, practicing and role playing, going through the presentation, at least 50 minutes a day, going through at least a portion of that so you get more comfortable with it. Because everything new is uncomfortable until you practice and role play it enough, and then you go from being comfortable to being confident. Because you need to come across confident and credible. Otherwise, people will not move forward. Now, a couple other elements to contrast. Virtual versus phone interviewing and tours. Video has tremendous benefits versus phone interviews only. And video is as even a bigger stepping point and a bigger evolution. Then remember, many years ago, there used to be silent pictures. And there was video, but no sound. And then they added sound. That certainly helped a lot. But then we went backwards with communication, and we only went to sound for like 150 years with our smartphones. Now, when an admissions representative uses video, their face, their personality, their expertise, their enthusiasm, and all those uniquely human and subconsciously processed social cues are delivered way better in video than through a traditional phone call. And as they get better and better at video, as they get more charismatic with video and more vocally charismatic while they're using video, they will inspire more people to take action on that which they are passionate about. And also, video ends up creating a way more powerful personal connection much more quickly. The amount of time it takes to create a deeper connection of trust with an invisible voice on the phone, I call it ghost in the machine, is way longer than with video. When people see you, the amount of time it takes for a person to trust you is like this, as opposed to just a phone call. Now, there's 4 core structures you need to conduct effective virtual video sessions. Number 1, technology. What do you actually need for webcam, headsets, microphone, lighting, backdrop, etc.? What are the tactics? Do you have a specific online process and framework, a PowerPoint presentation that's concise, not long like it would be in your in-person interview at the brick and mortar school, but shorter and more concise, should be 10 to 15 minutes at most. Also, technique. How should the admissions representative talk, act, come across, and communicate? Because, by the way, video takes away between 10 to 15% of a person's regular enthusiasm and energy that comes across in person. And you may have heard, excuse me, you may have heard that with video, it adds 10 to 15 pounds of weight onto people. Well, it also takes away 10 to 15% of your energy. So one of the techniques is admissions representatives have to practice speaking with even more enthusiasm, both vocally and facially, so that their face is enthusiastic as well. And then the other part of the core structure is the 4th one, critically important. Reps have got to practice every single day. Every day, 5 days a week, if they're working 6 days a week, 15 minutes a day. The only way anyone can become great at anything is by practice. And just like all of your students, they don't come in and you show them a lesson. Excuse me. They don't just get shown a lesson and they're a great massage therapist. They get shown a lesson and then they have to practice hands-on every day or as often as they're doing there. And the more they practice, the better they get, with supervision, of course. It's the same with admissions reps. And I worked in many different sales verticals all over the place, from real estate, car dealerships, to pianos and organs, to massage therapy education. And I've never seen a vertical that that we sell training for a living. We sell professional training for a living, but the admissions representatives hardly ever get training. And someone one time said, well, Lexington, how often should we train? And I asked the person, how often should you brush your teeth? Same thing. And someone else told me, oh, but Lexington, we took some training like 3 years ago. And did you take a shower 3 years ago? How often should you shower? Training's not something you did. It's something you do forever. So your admissions representatives, especially because they have a learning curve, they've got to get past uncomfortability to comfortability to excellence. They need to practice and role play at least 15 minutes a day, ideally 30 minutes a day. Now, here we go here. Technology. What technology do you need? Fundamentally, of course, you need a laptop computer, desktop computer. Make sure the webcam is good. Some laptop computers, the webcams are terrible. They're 720p. It's old technology. Ideally, you want at least a 1080p webcam. The more professional the equipment you use, the better and higher credibility, the higher status your admissions representative will come across. Also, make sure you have a high-quality noise cancellation headset or microphone, especially if you're working virtually. We don't want to hear kids screaming in the background or dogs barking or a mailman or Amazon people knocking on the door, whatever it may be, or Alexa going off. You need to make sure that the entire focus, visually and auditorily, is only that which is relevant to the prospective student, the explorer's exploration of this new career possibility. Anything extraneous breaks the magic of inspiration that you are creating. Then, of course, you need a high-speed, stable internet connection and an easy-to-use video and screen sharing platform. And I have used just about every one in the world over the last 13 years. And the best one now, by far, is Zoom. It doesn't mean it's perfect. It doesn't mean it's perfect, but it is the best by far, and they continue to get better and better. And there's also some alternatives. There's one called Groovio.com. It's good to have a backup in case something happens to Zoom, but Groovio isn't the best by any means, but it is the best where there is no mobile or internet download for your computer. So if a person doesn't know how to download an app, for example, if they're really technologically very unsavvy, then Groovio is a great backup. They just go to a link on their smartphone and nothing to download, and they could see you and hear you. Now let's talk about tactics specifically. Now, career planning session structure. Here's the elements, the foundational elements you need to make sure you include. Number one, of course, arrival and greeting, just like in brick and mortar, except make sure, don't do any small talk, except, this is not small talk here. Before you start any virtual admissions during the coronavirus time, do not just go into it and say, hi, you asked to find out more about our massage therapy program. Yeah, I did. Awesome. And then go into it. You want to start off with this. Hi, Sally, you asked to find out more about our massage therapy program here at so-and-so school. Is that right? That's right. Awesome. Hey, by the way, how are you and your family doing in coping through this coronavirus time? See what they say. 30 seconds, 60 seconds. Let them talk about it. Because if you don't do that, all of this is out of context. It's like, what are you trying to sell me education? We're trying to freaking survive here, for God's sakes. So make sure you ask the question. And usually it's about 30 to 60 seconds they'll share. If you have something you like to share from your life, like, yeah, I totally hear you. I know it's a challenge working from home. I've been doing it now for about 3 weeks, but I've been able to manage it and find ways to make it work. And do not belabor it, though. Should be no more than 60 seconds. And after that, you say now, and then boom, boom, boom. You go into the agenda. Now, what our purpose today is ... Whatever you would say, your agenda, your intention for the day. Then you go into discovery, which is your phone script. And you're going to find out, what do they do presently for work, or if they're laid off, what did they do? And what inspires them to consider becoming a massage therapist, and find out, ask them great questions beneath the questions. Because when you ask someone, what inspires you to consider becoming a massage therapist? Oh, I've been told I'm good with my hands. Okay. That's what most people say, and they move on. No. Ask great QBQs, as I call them, questions beneath the questions, so that you discover the core motivation, the core inspiration for why this person is considering this. I'll give you one example. If you ask a person, I'm curious, Sally, what inspires you to consider becoming a massage therapist? And they say, I've been told I'm good with my hands. Awesome. We never say, okay, we celebrate. Awesome. Now here's a QBQ. By the way, I'm curious, Sally, what When was the first time someone told you that you're good with your hands? And then make sure you're asking uncovering, discovering questions, because that will then connect your prospective student, your explorer, with their core emotions, not just the intellectual ideas they have with considering massage therapy. And then after you do your discovery, which is your phone script, ideally, then you go into the presentation and your virtual tour. So you're going to present about the school in a short, concise format, ideally using a concise and very beautifully put together PowerPoint. After you share that, you then propose the application. And after what you've seen today, Sally, can you see yourself as a student here? And ideally, you have a virtual tour of your school as well, about 3 minutes long. But if you don't, because you're not at your school, you can always put together something from photographs. And there's something called animoto.com. That's ANIMOTO.com. ANIMOTO.com. It's a simple-to-use app that basically takes photos and creates them into these incredible slideshow video presentations. Amazing. So if you don't have a virtual tour because you're not at the school, you can create one with the photos you have.
Lexington, I wanted to jump in here for just a second because we're halfway through our time already. And I wanted to assure our listeners, you'll be getting copies of all these slides. I know some of you take furious notes during these things, but you will be getting copies of the slides, and we are about halfway through. Back to you.
I love, like, who's that, Jody? You're taking notes some of the things that I said.
I am, yes.
I've never seen someone do that. I'm going to suggest that on every webinar I do. That's a great idea, like on key points, key takeaways. Wow. All right. Excellent. And thank you for the time check as well. All right. And here, share the screen here. All right. And my invisible PowerPoint disappeared. Let's bring it back. All right. So then you propose the application, and then you handle objections. Make sure you practice and role play, that you've written down every objection possible, including the coronavirus objections. Oh, I want to wait till this is all done. I can't go to school anyway because, you're not having classes. Make sure that you write down the objections and you write down answers. And also make sure, if you're an attendee, take me up on the 30-minute free offer. You can ask me all these questions. You'll get takeaways. You're not going to get a sales pitch. And then next, after handling objections, and if the person applies or not, make sure you create follow-up, which I call next action steps or buy wins. The only time you would not create a next action step and buy when follow-up is if they said, you know what, I realized after you told me about massage therapy, I want to be a camel herder in the Sahara Desert. Hey, I wish you the very best. Hey, by the way, who do you know who may be considering becoming a massage therapist? Even if they say no, ask for the person to develop lead. Now, a couple elements I've touched upon, I want to underline. Virtual tour difference, the time must be shorter. 25 minutes to 30 minutes max. People don't need as much information as you think they do. That's super important. Even when you're in your brick and mortar schools, you over-inform people. Information doesn't inspire people to take action. It causes them to think more. Of course, they need fundamental information. At the end of your virtual session or in person, you ask them, do you have any additional questions so far? If they do, then you go into great detail to answer those questions. But people need the fundamentals. They don't need huge details. And your discovery questionnaire, which is your phone script, could be a few questions shorter. Ideally, your discovery area should be about 5 minutes long. And then make sure you are using a PowerPoint with visuals of your school, about us visuals. They really get a sense, especially if you don't have any video to show them. However, you should still have images throughout your PowerPoint as well. And use a short video virtual tour, about 3 minutes long. And I highly recommend you have 20 to 30-second video testimonials of students, graduates, and employers. Super powerful. People who have gone before. That's the key. They're way more effective at inspiring people than we are. And people are home now for the most part. So you can ask students, graduates, employers, hey, would you be able to create a short 30-second testimonial for us and send it to us? Sure. It's gold. Now, when you create a virtual tour or a virtual slideshow, if you don't have virtual tour possibility now, your signature stops. Make sure whatever your signature stops that highlight your school, your clinic, your job board, whatever it would be, are on there. Your instructor wall, career services, classroom labs, student services, resource center. Make sure those are all there and part of it as much as possible. And when you are actually showing a person the video should be unnarrated. When it's recorded, and you as the admissions representative would narrate it in real time. And that way you can also pause it at any point and go into more detail so that you're not rushing because the video is moving at this pace, but you want to focus more on this particular area that your prospective student, your explorer, indicated was important to them. And creating the virtual tour, some very important technical aspects. Do not ever record a video vertically, like ever, your whole life. It looks unprofessional and it doesn't get all of the depth and breadth of what could be seen. Make sure it is horizontal.
I have a question for you on that.
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
Which way does the button, the button goes to the left when you video?
It's different for each smartphone, but it really works with either way with most smartphones, though I've got used to doing the video to the right, the camera to the right. I'm sorry, camera to the left. Mm-hmm. And it should be the left. Gotcha. And that's how I do it. And so, very good question. And make sure that your auto exposure is turned on. And when you are walking around the school, if you can still go to the school, you are not like hopping around like this, but instead that your elbows are close to your body, like this, and you're moving. I mean, it's going to, if someone's watching you, it would look strange, but you would be, walking as smoothly as possible. So it's cinematic. Because if it's bouncy, it's going to be distracting, unprofessional, and it will break the magic. So the smoother you can do this, the better. Make sure your color balance and auto white balance is on. Sometimes camera settings get changed, and sometimes there's glitches in your software. And simply go into your camera settings, and you could just make sure everything's automatically on. Also, it's not going to be unnarrated, so the mic part's not important, but make sure your finger is locked somewhere that is not near your lens. I've seen some great virtual videos ruined because the finger got in the way. Don't cover that. Another one. We
have a question from our attendees. Can I jump in? It's about what you're talking about. Amy Chavez asks, should we not then include a virtual tour option for people to view on the website?
No. Well, the thing is, here's the answer to that. It should be on the website anyway, but you don't refer them to the website. You can, you show it to them, or you could do a screen share of your virtual tour on your website. But you don't want to ever bounce someone off of you, because I've seen people say, oh, have you been to our website yet? Oh, not yet. Oh, you know what? Go to our website and then call me back. I've seen that in extreme cases. When it comes to the virtual tour, if it's embedded in your website somewhere, awesome. But however you share, whether it's on YouTube or whether you go to your website and share it, that's, you want to do that, all right? And another element is make sure your pacing is slow, that you're not like running around like this and you're not moving the camera like this. You want to go to your camera setting and go to 60 frames per second. There's a choice. It doesn't default to that. Most smartphones are 30 frames per second. And what happens is when you pan, it will look blurrier. So make sure you change it to 60 frames per second. Every smartphone, just about every smartphone has that option. And still, when you pan, don't go like this. You have to pan slowly. People's brains don't process if you go too quickly, plus the camera will end up being blurry and it will be distracting. And test it out before you actually create your virtual video. See what the best pacing will be that grabs your attention. All right, and then show key items as well. Walls, pictures, posters. If you don't have people now, it's okay. Some people have asked me, Lexington, should I not create a virtual video at this point of the school because no one's in there? I said, no, don't not do it because of that. No one's there. That's all right. As long as they see it, they can still get a sense of it with your narration, that they're going to get a more effective sense of what it would feel like to be a student there, just from your narration and what they see. And there's, by the way, the URL to animoto.com. And that creates an amazing slide-based video from pictures. Now, next, technique. What are the techniques? Number one, whatever your background is, it's got to be clean, professional. I've seen memes, inappropriate memes that were printed back there that the admissions reps forgot about. I've seen holes in the walls. Ideally, you use a green screen, which I have a green screen, so this is not my actual office here. It's a green screen image. But if you don't have a green screen, make sure the background is professional, clean, plants are great. Jody has a beautiful background. That's a real background. That's a good example. Also, admissions representatives, when it comes to conducting virtual career planning sessions and tours, admissions reps have got it dressed as well as when they come into their school, just as if you're giving actual in-person sessions, or even better, because everything matters. And this is a visual medium here, and people judge a book by their cover. And admissions representatives are representing the school brand outside of the school. It's a scary thing for owners and directors of schools. Many people I've seen dress down. They'll say, hey, I just want to be comfortable. I don't care if you want to be comfortable or not. That's irrelevant. You're getting paid. You need to dress as the professional you are. And this is a big thing where I see a lot of people, they dress down initially, and then they're told to dress up, and then they do for about a week, and then they start getting lazy. And some people have asked me, well, Lexington, what if I just wear something nice from the waist up? Because no one's going to see me from the waist down. Well, a couple things. I saw a video that was recorded with a prospective student the other day, and in the middle of the presentation, the person was dressed great. He was just awesome. He even had a tie on. However, he slipped and he hit his webcam and computer. He was wearing boxer shorts. He didn't even have pants on. It was a problem. And so a few people have said, well, does it matter because they don't see me? Well, two things. If you bump your camera, that's not a good thing. However, you know you are not dressed up all the way. You need to come across as incredibly professional and credible and high status. And you will come across differently if you're not dressed all the way. If you got Lululemons on the bottom or board shorts or flip-flops, you'll know the difference and you will act differently. So I cannot underline that enough. And also, make sure you have a quiet background as best you can. Kids aren't making appearances like, oh, hi, Mommy, who's that? Or pets barking, so forth. Now, we know things happen. You're at home if you're doing this. Key is have a plan before your sessions and have a contingency plan just in case, little Elmo walks into the frame. And people will be tolerant just for a few seconds. They understand, okay, 10, 15 seconds. Okay, then Sally's got to move on. Watch something. And then make sure there are no extraneous sounds in the background. We've heard TV noises. We've heard Jerry Springer and people screaming and mud wrestling and jello wrestling in the background. Radio blaring hip-hop music with all kinds of colorful language. Make sure you check everything before you conduct a single session and every time that you do. Now, some other tips for admissions representatives. Number one, make sure that you have good posture. I've seen way too many admissions representatives, they're sitting at their desk and they're like this, or they're leaning back, and everything makes a difference. They need to come across as high status. So the better your posture is, the more credible, the more authoritative that you come across, the more effective you will be. Also, facial expressions are very important. If someone looks like they had a Botox injection right before their career planning session, that's not going to be good either. So make sure, as an admissions representative, that you're being expressive and even a little bit more expressive than you normally would be. Because as I said earlier, that video takes 10 to 15% of energy and enthusiasm from your face and your voice away. And you've all seen videos of unprofessional people giving video presentations. They seem flat and boring and disengaging. It's because they haven't trained and learned the skills they need to be more dynamic and visually and vocally charismatic. Then one of the most important elements is this as well. Make sure that you look directly at the webcam lens, because the webcam lens is the eye to the window of the soul. As someone said, the eyes are the windows to the soul. The lens is the window to your prospective student's soul. Most admissions reps, when they first start virtual admissions, they will look at themselves. They won't even look at their prospective student. They'll watch themselves the whole time. Now, you see how disconnecting this is, that I'm not looking at you. Now, or they'll look at the prospective student, dead in the eye, except the prospective student, the explorer, is not behind the image on their computer monitor. They are behind, just like you are behind my webcam lens right here. Because if I did the whole presentation like this, you get disengaged pretty quickly. Maybe feel disrespected, and you would bounce off. And this is counterintuitive. Most reps will look at themselves or the prospective students. They need to practice and role play looking at the camera. And how do you get good at that? Practice and role play, as well as put a small picture right underneath the webcam lens of a loved one or a celebrity you have a crush on. Or put a Post-it note that says, look here, or here I am, or whatever you want to write on that. And the more you practice and role play, pretty soon you will always look at the lens. And of course, you can look down at your computer if you're typing something for a minute, but always refer back to the lens. Very, very important. Practice and role play. This is key. And this is where most reps push back. I'm too busy, manager. I don't have time. I got calls to make. I got all these virtual tours to do. Every great person, including every great massage therapist, they have to practice their craft every single day for the rest of their lives if they want to get better. And again, as I said earlier, just because you give someone a Zoom account and a webcam doesn't mean they are suddenly video experts. It takes a lot of practice. Minimum 50 minutes a day. So practice number one, pacing is another element. Make sure that you're not talking too fast or too slow either. You need to make sure the pacing moves so continues to engage people, but doesn't rush so much. Like, well, I got so much information, like this. Though I've seen a lot of people that are kind of like Bueller. Time for the camel dissection process now. I got a camel theme for some reason today. Also, there should be no dead zones. Don't stop talking at any point. The moment you stop talking, you lose people. Just like in radio. I've done radio and TV both. And we are all, like 101, no dead air we are trained to do. Make sure you're talking about something. How do you get good at this? Practice and role play. Also, the admissions representative needs to speak confidently and clearly throughout the entire virtual experience. Don't like mumble. Don't say, don't like ask questions when you're giving a statement. Like, there should be no dead zones. A lot of people, their voice goes up at the end of statements, and it takes away credibility and perceived confidence and status. And also another element, before every virtual admission session, it's important to get grounded. And massage therapy, admissions reps understand this more than most, is even take, like, close your eyes, like, a few minutes before you start, and take 3 deep breaths. Ground yourself, your feet on the floor. It will be so much better, so much more effective when you are then connected and grounded, as opposed to you just came from maybe cooking stuff with the kids, playing with the kids, dealing with kids screaming, whatever it may be. The more grounded you are, the more effective you'll come across. And then training. So these are some remote working challenges, distractions. I've got one of the biggest questions that I get from managers and directors of schools and VPs of admissions is, Lex, our people are just not making a lot of calls. They're at home. I don't understand what's going on. There it is. TV, internet, Facebook, Instagram. Oh, I got a new TikTok dance I want to create. Got a new idea. Kids, pets, calls, texts from friends, family, etc. Those distractions get in the way of productivity. The key is for every admissions representative to structure their time just like they're in person at their school. And professionalism, as I said earlier, dress for success. Do not dress down. Shower, shave, makeup, whatever you would normally do. That's critically important. Also, another remote working challenge is organization. A lot of reps, they haven't developed the self-discipline to work from home effectively. And it's a whole nother skill set. And you can certainly develop that, but you've got to basically act as if you were going to the office and let your family know as well as you have kids, spouses, not that you have multiple spouses, but a spouse and so forth. Make sure they understand that those are sacred times that you're not to be interrupted. And also another remote working challenge is a lot of people sometimes feel isolated or separated from their team, from other people, especially if they're not using video. And that's why from an admissions manager standpoint, make sure you're having daily video huddles, admissions video huddles, to celebrate what went well the day before, talk about the challenges, and give some training as well. People feel way more connected. And ideally, it's the beginning of your day at 9 o'clock and say around 4 o'clock in the afternoon. People feel way more connected, way more inspired, and they become way more productive. And so how do you train your team virtually if you're an admissions manager? Make sure that they have a clear work structure, a clear schedule. When do they work? When are their breaks? When is their lunchtime? And dress for success, as we've said, the morning huddle, afternoon check-in, all done via video, ideally Zoom. Training, practice, and role play daily in their schedule. Maybe it's from 9:30 to 9:45 every day. They're practicing and role playing, maybe with a colleague virtually. Also, managers have got to hold their admissions reps accountable for all these elements we've discussed. Otherwise, many people will go to the path of least resistance, and they'll end up doing what's comfortable, not what is challenging. And until people do enough practice and role play, they'll go back to the level of comfort instead of moving through the level of discomfort so that they actually create this new higher level comfort zone with these new skill sets. And if you're an admissions manager, spend at least 30 minutes each day with your reps virtually, being with them as they make their phone calls and as they engage in their virtual career planning sessions. And you could be part of that. It's a group experience. And that's critical because you've got to inspect what you expect. And then lastly, and finishing up for today, and then we'll take questions, I have a special offer for all of you who have attended this. I see a typo here. Is many people have been asking for training. Do you have any online video training in Lexington that won't cost us $10,000 a week? And yeah, absolutely. And that's what I charge for in-person training. And it's worth it because people enroll. However, I have created the most extensive admissions training on the planet online. I have over 140 videos on it. And each video is only about 3 to 5 minutes long on average. And it covers every single aspect of admissions, including I just recorded 20 videos on how to effectively conduct virtual tours. It's normally $350 a month, and you can have it for $49 for the month, for 30 days. It's my cost. And you get access to all the videos, plus you can attend our weekly Friday masterminds as well. This Friday and every Friday for the next 30 days, you'll be able to attend those. And that's an interactive experience, 12:30 to 1:30 p.m. on Friday. And I'll give you the URL for that as well. But highly recommend you get this video platform. It will profoundly help you shorten the learning curve as well. And then another element, how do you hold on to enrolled students virtually? This is something super important. Okay, someone, either they're highly interested, but they haven't enrolled yet or applied, or they have applied or enrolled. These are the elements you need to make sure you include. You need to create a deep connection during your discovery, not a surface connection, by asking them great questions beneath the questions. And when you use video, it automatically, if you use it effectively, automatically creates a deeper connection. Also, create a specific two-way communication agreement after you're going to be done. So, for example, if someone applied or enrolled, say to them, you know what, Letitia, I promise going forward that if you have any questions whatsoever, when you call me, text me, or email me, I will get back to you as much as humanly possible the same day and never more than 24 hours. That's my promise and commitment to you. How's that sound? And then the sound, that sounds great. Excellent. And I ask you also to create the same communication agreement with me, that if I need anything from you, or financial aid department does, or whoever it may be, if you can also get back to them as soon as humanly possible, same day, or never more than 24 hours. Does that sound fair? They say yes. That's super important. That does help people stay connected with you. Talk about that which almost no one talks about. Let's talk about how people take their time to get their transcripts back or the FAFSA back. Let's talk about it. We need things that occur quickly to help get them enrolled as quickly as possible for themselves. Also, send at minimum weekly texts, emails, check-ins. Also, weekly phone calls and video phone calls are great. Every Friday, I tell you what, would it be okay to give you a call each Friday? 5-minute check-in. What time's good for you? 1 o'clock? Perfect. And that way you stay connected. You keep people inspired between now and whenever they start. Also, use video email. We've been training people how to use video email for over 13 years. And if you want a demo of this, just contact me for that. And there's actually a new link, which I'll write down here, which is www.videoforadmissions.com. If you go there, now, today, you get a 2-week free trial, no credit card. It's awesome. It's powerful. You can contact me at lex@theartofadmissions.com. I'll give you a free training on how to get it set up and how to use it. And then also, last thing on this is create weekly online short interactive live video classes via Zoom. Maybe teach some A&P, do some demos of how to give great massages. That's a great way to keep applicants and enrollees on fire. To do that every week, and they could be 15 minutes to a half hour. People love them. And that concludes my portion of the training for all of you. So I want to open up to any questions and comments, and if you have anything for me, Jody.
Well, we've been doing some good chatting in the chat box. Lex, thanks so much for those nuggets of gold. And to reiterate, a free 30-minute one-to-one consultation with Lex is available for all of our attendees, and even if you're watching this after the live webinar. I have put Lex's information in the chat box. It's Lex at the art of admissions, so 4 words, .com. So just hit him up over there, and that's where you can also find out about those other special offers if you don't have that information. So let's see. All right, thank you so much. Yay, thanks, Michelle, and for the comments about how it was very valuable. Let us know what you think is what are your favorite parts of what you've learned or what you've heard? What's something that you could implement right away? I've seen some good comments about keeping the virtual tours to 30 minutes or less, and avoiding the urge to overload the future students with information. That was one of my takeaways for sure. What are you guys thinking? Let's see. Oh, you're very welcome, Paulette. Thank you for being here. And thank you guys each for taking the time out of your Thursday afternoon. Lex, we've got about 3 to 4 more minutes. Could you go over one more time what your offers are to our attendees and our future watchers?
Right, absolutely. And so number one is email me. Ideally, everyone will do this. There's no obligation. You're not going to get a sales pitch. Lex at theartofadmissions.com. Number one, I'm offering you a free 30-minute session via video, my Zoom room, to meet with your team, yourself, your team, to go over what are your challenges and give you specific ideas and takeaways on how to develop and expand a more successful virtual video experience. And also, if you sign up for the video email at videoforadmissions.com, I'm offering you a free 30-minute session on how to get that set up and how to use that effectively. What type of messaging should it be? How do you use humor with video email? Because video email messages are awesome. And basically, I have introduced this to the massage therapy school world. No one's using it. And they take seconds to create, and they're way more personal and connecting than the old-fashioned typed email. And then there's another I didn't mention yet, which was Enrollment Resources, who is a partner of ours. We do a lot of work and cross-referral. They are an amazing marketing company. And a lot of people have been asking, well, Lexington, what should our structure be for admissions reps? Like, what do we say? From the moment we say hello to the moment of the proposal. Well, I've worked with Enrollment Resources, and they've used my scripts, and they've developed what's called the admissions pathway, which is they're offering this for 60 days for free with no obligation. That's why if anyone doesn't take us up on all these offers, you're crazy. Because this is going to help. This is going to help you to be even better. They use our scripting, and they basically you can email Tom at enrollmentresources.com if you would type that, which I know you will. Tom at enrollmentresources.com, Tom King, and let him know that Lexington sent you. And I don't get any commission from it or anything. It's a great service that they will customize it for you. They'll give you a short 10-minute demo to start with. And if you move forward, they will customize this so that your PowerPoint, your images are on there, any videos are on there, and the entire structure from the moment you say hello to your prospective student to the moment you apply is all there. So it's basically 25 to 30 minutes. It comes in a package. And then on top of that, if you get that, I'll give you a 30-minute session for free as well on how to use it more effectively. And then what else? There's so many offers. And then the last one is the online video training. Take me up on this. Over 140 videos, normally $350 for the month per rep, only $49 per rep. You get unlimited access to the videos 24/7, and you also get access to our weekly online live masterminds on Friday, 12:30 to 1:30 p.m. And those are interactive. You get to hear from colleagues who are having challenges, also colleagues who are creating great success. So it's not me simply giving ideas. You're going to hear from all the people in your profession there. And so so I encourage you, email us now, Tom and myself, and take us up on these.
And you know what? I hope your phone blows up because I just put your phone number in the chat
Good.
box.
Good. And call me or text me. And, 'cause
Just
when
easy. Text him. Yeah.
yeah, text me. And when people don't take advantage of free, valuable elements that are going to help you, I don't understand it. But I know you are all wise because you are here, number one. So I also appreciate you taking some time out of your day, as Jody said, because you're open. You want to grow. And one last thing I have before we answer any questions and then finish up is that some directors of schools and admissions reps said, well, once we're back in our buildings, we don't need to do this crazy stuff anymore. I'm very uncomfortable with it. And I will say, again, I'll use the crazy term. Make sure that you keep doing it. Stop struggling to get people in for that first appointment. It should be a virtual experience initially. And you're going to have more shows because of that afterwards. Whatever they need to do, if they're going to come in for an actual tour, which I want to invite them for an in-person tour after that, more people will show up for that because now there's this visual connection. They're not blowing off an invisible ghost in the machine, a voice on the phone. They would be blowing off a human being that they've looked into their eyes. And you'd be crazy to go back to the way things are because you're going to lose market share. You're going to lose students. So.
Well, I would say that is some offers that we can hardly refuse. And I want to say on behalf of I just want to take a quick look in the chat box, make sure I'm not missing any. That phone number is actually, thank you for asking, Amy, that phone number is actually Lexington's phone number. So the 201 phone number is Lexington's phone number. And I'll record it here as well for those who maybe can't see the chat. And that's 201-953-9988. So 201-953-9984. Sorry, 9984. So on behalf, so as we wind down here on today's webinar, I want to thank you guys all very much for setting aside the time today to do something that I feel is so important. A lot of you are working really hard in your business, and today you took 60 minutes and you worked on your business. And that makes all the difference in the world to the quality of the product that you deliver to our future massage students, to our future massage therapists. And that's really what the Alliance is all about, is making it easier for you to offer high quality education to your students and to have students to offer that education too. So Lexington Maximus, thank you very much for taking your time this afternoon and being so prepared with so much information. And this video this webinar will be available. Also, it'll be sent to you virtually so you can watch it again. You can fast forward, you can rewind, you can take notes, and also Lex has made available his slides. So that'll all be sent to you in the next 24 to 48 hours. So be watching for that. And so, Lexington, any closing words?
Excuse me. The last ones are this: is you all offer amazing programs to create future massage therapists, healers, which we need more than ever, especially after this coronavirus is done. People are starving for touch and healing and so forth, and you offer that. However, any school can't continue to offer what they offer unless they continue to up-level and upgrade their admissions processes. And unless they continue to make sure that they're walking their talk, that you demand that your students learn and practice every day, you have to demand the same of your admissions representatives. And this needs to be a major cultural shift because 99% of schools, they don't give regular training to their admissions reps. Mm-hmm. And you wouldn't go to a doctor or a brain surgeon or say a pilot who didn't get regular training. And yeah, they were great 20 years ago, and if they didn't train since then, I don't want them flying a plane or operating on me. It's the same with admissions. Admissions sells professional training for a living. They need to be the flagship examples of being open, that they don't have fixed mindsets, but this is how we've done things, but they have open mindsets, learning mindsets, so they are the leaders of learning and great examples for your prospective students. So.
Excellent. Great closing remarks. Great closing thoughts. All right. That'll be it for today from the Alliance for Massage Therapy Education. My name again is Jody Scholes. I am one of the fabulous board members. All of our board members are fabulous, but I'm one of the board members on the Alliance. And we look forward to seeing you at our next event coming up on Sunday, May 3rd, I think it is. Yep, May 3rd at 4 p.m. Eastern. We have our Sunday support sessions, and you'll be seeing more about an announcement about that in your email. This coming Sunday, we have Kelly Bowers, who's going to be presenting on how to teach business online to your students. A lot of schools are front loading their didactic content, and Kelly's going to be giving us, she's written a book on this, and she's going to be giving us really helpful hints on how to teach business practices to your students online. Again, my name is Jody Scholes. Guys, have a great afternoon, and thanks for being with us.
Thank you, everybody. And thank you, Jody, for hosting this, and thank the Alliance also for hosting this for me.